Welcome back, America. We're here with our friend, not just a general. The man's a retired 4-star Army general. That's a big deal. Jack Keane, and Institute for the Study of War. He's the chairman, nobody better. General Keane, Israel is surrounded on all sides and has the Mediterranean Sea on the one side where it's not surrounded. It's under attack on all sides. Hamas to the south, Hezbollah to the north, the PLO to the east. They're all being backed by Iran. And I'm sitting here in amazement. Do you think Israel's gaining the kind of at least public support from the president, the vice president, the secretary of state, the secretary of defense, that an ally should be receiving, that's taking all this incoming and taking on, it appears, Iran and its surrogates almost by itself?
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous. I mean, what Israel has done here, quite successfully, in rather rapid fashion, killing Mohammed Deif, the military commander of Hamas, and also Fuad Shakur, a military commander, obviously, of Hezbollah, and now the chief political negotiator and political spokesperson for Hamas, Hanayeh. And the fact that they've accomplished this, and the administration reacts to this, Mark, by wringing their hands, and their number one concern is about escalation, which in of itself shows a sign of weakness. And this has been the problem, from the outset, is that the horrific attack on October the 7th, Iran operationalized immediately all of the other proxies. On October the 8th, Hezbollah began to fire in northern Israel. The Iranian-backed Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, prior to October the 7th, had already fired at U.S. troops 125 times, and they stepped it up from October the 7th on, and the Houthis have effectively shut down the Suez Canal. And yet, to this day, we still do not hold Iran accountable for anything that I just said. And it's absolutely tragic, and it's a huge strategic mistake. And as a result of it, you're very right to point out, it puts Israel on its own, in a sense, in having to do some of the work. This killing of leaders is sending a clear message to the Iranians that we are determined. We're staying in this fight to the end. We're going to stay here until we achieve victory. And leaders, your operational leaders and leaders in Iran, are at risk as long as you're continuing this axis of resistance and the ring of fire around Israel. And yes, I agree with you. Despite the rhetoric of ironclad support that you get from the administration, the actions that you get undermine the state of Israel and what they're trying to accomplish.
General, I've never seen anything like this. You are more attuned to this, more focused on this. This has been your whole life, your whole career. I have a list of weapon systems and ammunition and so forth that are being slow-walked to the Israelis, even now, that are being withheld from the Israelis, even though Congress has approved the funding and delivery of these things. At the same time, tens of billions of dollars have flowed into Iran directly and indirectly from our country, lacks of enforcement of the oil embargo and so forth. So Iran is muscling up. They're helping to provide support to China, which is providing support to Russia. All three are providing support to the terrorist states in Iran and the Middle East. Is this not insane? I mean, I'm watching this now, and I'm saying to myself, why are we funding the enemy, and why do we have our foot on the throat of our ally? Am I missing something here?
No, you're not missing it at all. I mean, this is a major, major problem. I've been on a congressional commission for 18 months looking at our defense strategy. This is bipartisan. Our unanimous report just came out. And we are saying to the American people through the Congress who we're reporting to is that we are facing the most serious and dangerous challenges as a nation that we have faced since World War II because of China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea all cooperating together. And there's been an erosion of our military capability, but fundamentally there's been an erosion of our will. And our adversaries know it. They see opportunity, and they are exploiting our vulnerabilities. And you name the country, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, and we all have vivid examples of what they're doing. We're at war in two areas right now, supporting allies and President Xi is threatening war in the third. And one of the major problems we find with this is we could face a war in the Indo-Pacific region, and then war would break out also in Europe and also in the Middle East that would have to involve us. And that's why we think it's the most dangerous threat since World War II. And this administration, Mark, will not talk about this issue with the American people.
And they won't fund our military adequately. Welcome back, America. You know, General, the question I left with is, are we provoking a war by our conduct, our public statements, our silence at the wrong time, and our failure to build up our own military while the enemy is gathering, while the storm clouds are gathering, and they are pumping up their military and they're getting increasingly aggressive?
Yeah, absolutely. It's well documented that China has a military advantage in the Indo-Pacific region that we enjoyed for years. And we are not doing anything to catch up to it. This administration, when you account for inflation, the budgets are flat. We're not increasing the capability, and we've lost our ability to deter. And witness what happened. In March of 21, 60 days into the Biden administration, Putin put 70,000 troops on the border of Ukraine. I think it was absolutely a test to confirm for him what he thought Biden would really be in terms of a commander-in-chief. He would display the same weaknesses that Obama displayed and not be willing to confront him. And in doing so, when asked about it, what are you going to do about it? Biden said, well, I don't want to provoke him, so I'm not going to do anything about it. What if he moves into Ukraine? Well, it depends on how much territory he takes. I think that confirmed for Putin what he needed to know. The deal was sealed certainly after Afghanistan several months later, and then he invaded in February of 22. In the first month in office, they reached out to the Ukrainians. This is the Biden administration within 30 days and told them we're easing up on the Trump sanctions as a matter of good faith to demonstrate to you our seriousness about desiring to go back into the nuclear deal. I believe Iran took that as they would obviously take it as a sign of weakness, slow-rolled the administration all this time about the possibility of a negotiated deal. Just a matter of weeks ago, we were in secret talks with Iran on the very same subject, despite what is going on in the Middle East with Israel. Our adversaries look at this as weakness and they talk to each other. I believe President Xi, if he wasn't having the economic challenges he's having right now, his aggression would have been stepped up rather significantly in the Indo-Pacific region. And it's still there as an objective. He's told his people to be ready by 2027. But there's no doubt that they look at our military capability, which has eroded, and they look at our will, and they think that has eroded as well. And they are taking advantage of the United States. You put your finger right on it. Our behavior has incentivized our adversaries.
You know, you open a newspaper or the websites or whatever, on a daily basis, they are attacking Netanyahu. They're attacking the Israeli government. I'm talking about our administration, either through leaks or openly. You have members of Congress who are doing the same things. You boycott the leader of Israel. The enemy in the Middle East sees all this, right? They see what Kamala Harris said after she met with the Prime Minister of Israel. They see the boycotting of the Prime Minister of Israel. They see all the talk about a ceasefire. To me, they've endangered these hostages even more. They've empowered Hamas and these terrorists who say, well, why should we give up? Just hang on. Hang on. Eventually, we'll get rid of Netanyahu. The pressure will work. We'll just keep chipping away, shrinking the state of Israel. They're having to depopulate the north. The South is partly depopulated too. So from their perspective, they're winning the propaganda war in the United States, in Europe, with our media, with their media. And so just keep at it, right?
Yeah, there is absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, what has happened, because the administration has put such pressure on Israel, and Sinwar, who's in charge of Hamas inside of Gaza, is looking at that, sees that has aroused international condemnation of Israel and isolated them more politically. And he wasn't about to make any hostage deal. Why would I do that? This plays into my hands. Israel is being weakened as a result of it. And that's the reality of what has taken place. Let's go back to something you mentioned. They are definitely holding back weapons and munitions, not just the big 2,000-pound bombs, but overall, a whole pattern of munitions. And the thought process behind that, Mark, I have difficulty saying this, but the people in Israel, officials believe the reason is because they want to handcuff them and not going to deal with Hezbollah on the ground and in the air, something that Israel will have to do if Hezbollah does not pull out of southern Lebanon so the Israelis can go back to their homes. And they're diminishing their capability to do it that because they don't want them to do it. And they're not going to say that publicly, but that's what the Israeli officials have concluded is the reason behind that. This is really outrageous stuff in terms of an ally who's fighting for their very existence. This is an existential threat that involves the survival of Israel itself. And we should be saying that every single day a government official gets up to talk about what the stakes are in the Middle East.
And the real reason they won't let Israel have those 2,000-pound bombs is because they don't want Israel taking out that nuclear site. Israel doesn't use 2,000-pound bombs in urban warfare. Nobody does, except the enemy. General Keane, I want to thank you for your patriotism and your service, which is continuing and ongoing. God bless you, my friend.
Always good talking to you, Mark, and your audience. Thank you.